Hi all, this is Once a Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. I'm just about recovered from the last one as I sought to see if I could beat Pokemon Emerald with just a single Igglybuff. If you want to see the amount of therapy I needed after that, check the video. Today though, we're doing something hopefully simpler as I see if I can beat Pokemon Fire Red with a single Corphish. Corphish then, let's talk about the stats. We have got a 308 base stat total, which is about on par with a first form starter, give or take, and it's slightly better than a first form pseudo legendary. We have great attack and defense, but everything else is pretty meh. We're mono water type, which is bad because we are not getting as much use out of our stab, but we are weak to grass and electric. Gyms 3 and 4, oh dear, and we resist steel, fire, water and ice, so that's bad. No immunities. On the surface, our level up moveset isn't bad, but remember, we're not going to be able to use our better physical attack stat on most of these moves like Crab Hammer and Crunch. Remember, water moves, all special in this game, this gen. Knockoff is weak in this gen as well. We do get Swords Dance via level up, which actually that's pretty nice I'd say. So we can mitigate Intimidate. Vice Grip is probably the best one we can make most use of. But it is nice that we get a water move for the start of the game. Our TM learn set is definitely better. We get moves that can take advantage of our great physical attack stats like Return, Dig, Brick Break, Aerial Ace, Rock Tomb, so we're going to be having fun there. I mean, I suppose there is stuff like Surf and Ice Beam, but like I said, it's not going to be as useful. Will I need Ice Beam? I'm not sure. This challenge is one of mine, not a viewer submission. Any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to Twitter, Discord or Instagram. The rules are on the screen throughout, and as always, if you enjoy what you see then like, subscribe and ring that bell. Let's do this. I use the UPR to replace Squirtle with Corphish so that I can do the whole run with it. This gives the rival Bulbasaur, which hands down is the hardest for us to fight. Not only is it super effective against us, but it also gives him double Intimidators in Arcanine and Gyarados, which is rough when you're a physical attacker. We nickname our Corphish Ruffles. It's the ruffian Pokemon and I figured it fit. Ruffles has the gentle nature, so more special defense and less physical defense. I'm fine with that, no issues here. We also have the Shell Armor ability, so guess who isn't getting crit for the entirety of the run? We do the rival fight and it goes pretty badly. Well, what do you expect? We started with just one move in Bubble. This is not a good move by any sort of measuring stick. It would be pretty bad on a Pokemon with a decent special attack stat, and that we are not necessarily in possession of. We fire Bubbles at Bulbasaur. I know I'm going to mess that up in the audio recording. Spoiler, I didn't, I did it first time, but despite my hopeful prayers of critting 10 times in a row, it's not to be. We take a bunch of tackles and they soon bring us down, so that's not particularly ideal in any way, shape or form. I'll get revenge later. So, now we're heading off and I'm doing a bit of grinding. I don't think we'll need to be a particularly high level to beat Brock, but the thing is, I do want to do some EV training. I want to start filling out my Pokédex so that I can get both the Flash HM later and the leftovers a bit later on from that. Besides, might as well do this now. Brock probably won't be hard, but when we reach Cerulean there'll be a Misty fight and a rival fight, so that's something for us to be wary of. Mind you, we should have a decently hard hitting Vice Grip by then. Soon, we have a rival fight to contend with on Route 22, and I'm not worried about it. I mentioned revenge, I want some. It begins with Pidgey. We are slower and get hit with Sand Attack, already going fantastic, plus Tackle, but we can take Pidgey out with a pair of Vice Grips. Thankfully, we don't miss. Bulbasaur is second, but we can effectively fight back with Vice Grip now. We do get hit with 2 tackles, but we laugh them off, and we soon free hit Bulbasaur with a trio of Vice Grip attacks. Going through the forest, I'm doing my last preps before facing off with Brock, adding more Pokemon to my Pokédex and battling trainers. I know Bubble isn't great, but I figure it should be enough to take him down pretty quickly. Our special attack isn't fantastic, but neither is his special defense, so call it a push, whatever you like. I think we'll have an easier time in the Rock Gym here than we did in the Rock Gym in the last challenge I recorded, because that was low-key horrific. Anyway, Let's test that theory about how easy or difficult Brock might turn out to be. I march into his gym at rapid speed and face off with Geodude. We're at level 16, we're 4 levels higher than the Geodude, and our bubble attack turns out to be superior. We one-shot it with that move. That puts us into battle with Onix, who is faster and misses bind. It then barely survives bubble before missing a second bind, and then goes crashing down to a second bubble. That was ridiculous, I'll say it. Now, we are going through Mount Moon, and now I'll say there'll be a trio of potentially tricky gyms up ahead, as we have Misty, as Starmie can hit pretty hard at times, and it's pretty good defensively as well. There's Surge, electric types, enough said, and I think we might get Shocked, and Erica, grass types. That's going to suck, I guess, especially if she uses Giga Drain or whatever she uses. You'd think I'd know this by now. I'm pretty sure it's Giga Drain. There are some intermittent rival fights in there, but I don't think he'll be truly problematic until we get to Sylph. I took a fossil. Or did I? Yes I did. Either you saw what it was or you didn't. Comments, I guess, if you didn't see and you wanted to know. I think you should comment. Rewinding the video, that's for suckers. In Cerulean, I figure the rival might be a bit of an easier fight. It'll likely be a push in terms of difficulty, but whatever, and I go after that first. Pidgeotto is our first opponent, which is usually tricky, but thankfully it never goes for Sand Attack, which probably makes the fight easier. We do get outsped and hit with 2 Ghosts, but that's not too bad, and we can strike 2 Vice Grips to bring it down. Bulbasaur is out second. We do get hit for pretty big damage with Vine Whip, but we are faster and can 2-shot it with Vice Grip. Abra is out third and goes down to Vice Grip before Rattata is last. We do take some damage getting hit with 2 quick attacks, but we can 2-shot with Vice Grip. Okay, so might as well go to challenge Misty while I'm here then, just to see how we get on. I don't know, maybe not, but at least I've got a whole route up north filled with trainers to grind on if she's too much. She begins with Staryu. It is faster. We watch it harden before we land Vice Grip. It survives the move but confuses us with Water Pulse on the next turn. We fight through confusion and take it out with another Vice Grip. Starmie also uses Water Pulse. We shake confusion off and land Leer, but even after that our Vice Grip doesn't do too much damage as Starmie keeps hitting Water Pulses. We do get it to red health, but we're too weak as she uses a Super Potion, and that draws a line under our chance of victory as we're taken out with Rapid Spin. Well, training then. I'll get to level or 2 and then try again. We weren't too far away that time, and the law of averages states that I'll likely need a few more levels somewhere down the line, so I might as well get it while the getting's good. We are stronger than pretty much all the trainers on Route 24 and 25, so I'd say they're nice fodder to go through at the very least. And then Misty, round 2. She won before, I'm not taking it lying down against her again, and so I head back into the gym and prepare to throw down with her. The first part of the fight is a mirror to the first part last time, as Staryu outspeeds and goes for Harden before surviving Vice Grip. We then get confused by Water Pulse but fight through and take it out with Vice Grip. Starmie hits Water Pulse but we shake confusion off and land Leer. We do get rocked with 2 more Water Pulses, losing most of our health, but 2 Vice Grips bring it down. I catch some Meowth and use them for pickup. This will be handy for getting both a hidden power TM and rare candies / PP ups. Of course, I need to fight stuff now, but hey, we've got a rival fight coming up, and then the electric gym, which I think might be tricky. We are not the fastest, so we could get hurt. Heading through the SSN towards the rival fight, like I said, this shouldn't be too bad. I stand by what I said that he might not be too bad until we get to Sylph. I mean, I suppose the Pokemon Tower one might be rough because he will have dual Intimidators by then, but we should have Swords Dance at that point, so we can counter it somewhat. That'll be something that will swing the tide back in our favour. Anyway, we're nearly there. I still want to know how he caught 40 types by this point and is still using mostly not fully evolved Pokemon. That's a great mystery. But anyway, the fight begins and don't let the level lead fool you. This turned out way closer than it should have. We are faster than Pidgeotto and hit Vice Grip, but it uses Sand Attack and then follows up with Quick Attack. We take it out with Bull Beam. Ivysaur is second. We do get hit with a Vine Whip but can land 2 Vice Grips to take it out, so that's handy. We put Raticate on red health with Vice Grip, but get hit by 2 Hyper Fangs as we miss a Bubble Beam before we do take it out. Kadabra is last. It is faster and hits Confusion. We survive on 1 HP and take it out with Vice Grip. Sheesh! I figure I'll make a try on Surge while I'm in town, but for the first time in what feels like a long time, I actually struggle with the Electric Gym in Kanto, and this is a disturbing feeling. Well, I say struggle, it's relative. We are slower than Voltorb and we can't one-hit it, so by the time it comes to knocking it out, we've usually been hit with Shockwave and Sonic Boom, which eats into our health, and that's a bit of a problem. We can deal with Pikachu easily enough, but again, Raichu is faster, and come that point, we've usually lost enough health that it can take us out with Shockwave, so I need to be stronger, I guess. Anyway, I'll come back later. I make a bunch of tries, nothing really gives, so I head to the Rock Tunnel, and seeing as how I'm nothing if not consistent, this seems a good time to do Corphish trivia. A lot of the Pokédex entries talk about how they were originally from a different region. The Hoenn, Kanto, Johto, Alola, Galar and Paldea Pokédexes all mention this. The only Pokédex entries that don't are the ones from Unova and the ones from Kalos, and I think it's safe to say Corphish probably isn't originally from Unova. It's not in its regional dex, so just saying. A lot of entries talk about how they are hardy creatures who can adapt to any environment, to the point that they can live in dirty water and stagnant ditches. Corphish is the only Pokemon with a catch rate of 205. Based on its Pokemon Ruby Pokédex entry, it may be based on the red swamp crayfish, which like Corphish are invasive pests in many countries. Ash Ketchum caught a Corphish in the Hoenn season of the anime, it being the only Pokemon he caught in the region capable of evolving, but didn't. He used it in the Hoenn gyms and the Battle Frontier, though he didn't use it in the Sinnoh League, but it did appear in a vision to Pikachu during the final battle with Leon's Charizard. In Lavender Town, I figure I'll take a stab at the Pokemon Tower rival fight. We've got Swords Dance now, so we should be pretty golden. I'll consider my moves shortly. I think I might keep a water move just to be on the safe side for coverage. We go for Swords Dance versus Pidgeotto, but then we get hit with Sand Attack. We then miss 3, count 'em, 3 Vice Grips in a row on Pidgeotto, which, far from ideal, as we get clattered about with gusts and quick attacks, but we eventually land the attack that one-shots it. Ivysaur is a one-shot with Vice Grip, missing that could have been bad. I go for another Swords Dance versus Gyarados, thanks to the Intimidate, but we do get hit with Thrash, however we drop it with Vice Grip. Growlithe also intimidates us, but we one-shot with Bubble Beam. We miss Vice Grip on Kadabra and get blasted with Confusion, but land it at the second attempt. This could have been nasty, but we made it out alive. I'm travelling now. When I get access to the T in Celadon, I might head back and try Surge again now that we've got a few extra levels. Hopefully, we've hit a tipping point. There will be Giovanni and Erica to contend with then. The former should be easier than the latter. I may use the Aerial Ace TM, since there are a lot of opponents in this game that go for evasion moves and accuracy changing tactics, so it will combo nicely with Swords Dance. I rush back and challenge Surge before I go into the major Celadon battles. He begins with Voltorb, we outspeed and one-shot with Vice Grip, so nice start. Pikachu is a one-shot with Bubble Beam, and so now we have the face-off with Raichu. We outspeed and land Vice Grip, but it survives and we are paralysed by Static. Surge heals and we go for a Swords Dance before Raichu uses Double Team and lands Shockwave, but we survive and can finally drop Raichu with Vice Grip. Woo! The game corner is next then as I travel through. I start to think about what is to come. Giovanni shouldn't be too bad. Shouldn't be is the key word, I suppose. There is always that chance, although I figure he is definitely going to be easier than Erica. I mean, we might not fare too badly there if we can avoid paralysis. I think a Cherry Berry might be in order. On the subject of the Giovanni fight, having fought every rocket in the place, I march in to confront the boss, and this goes about as well as can be expected. He begins with Onix and we immediately one-shot with Bubble Beam. The fight with Rhyhorn goes pretty similar as we one-shot with Bubble Beam. I Swords Dance versus Kangaskhan, and although we get hit with a Bite and a Mega Punch, we can soon bring it down with 2 Vice Grips. With Corphish now knowing the move Aerial Ace, I'm not entirely sure of the logic behind this, we make our way into face-off with Erica. I've equipped a Cherry Berry just to be on the safe side, and I figure we're pretty good to go here. She begins with Victory Bell and we go for Swords Dance. As predicted, a Stun Spore comes our way. We immediately get rid of it with our berry and then strike Victory Bell down with Aerial Ace. Tangela doesn't do any sort of better against Aerial Ace, and then Vileplume outlasts a swift takedown with the move 2. 4 badges in hand. Easy. Seriously though, why can Corphish learn Aerial Ace? This is quite a slow Pokemon. I think the whole idea behind Aerial Ace is you go so fast the opponent can't avoid it. So why can this relatively slow Pokemon learn it? I mean, I know there are a lot of Pokemon that can learn Aerial Ace. I know it's quite a big utility move, I suppose. Well, I suppose it's a bit difficult to tell with Swift. I mean, in the earlier gens, Swift was a TM, but it's not really much of a TM anymore, so I'm just thinking randomly. Anyway, I'm going through Pokemon Tower. It's time to look ahead. I figure I'll head down south to Fuchsia City first. I don't know how easy or difficult Koga might be, but we might be fine if we can avoid getting poisoned. Swords Dance will be handy. I know he likes to spam Smokescreen, but Aerial Ace will pretty much nullify that, so maybe we can get 2 Swords Dancers going and sweep. Failing that, it'll be Sylph. I don't think we'll struggle versus Sabrina, but I figure the Sylph rival fight might be tricky, particularly if we have bad Sand Attack luck like we did in the last one. His team is getting to the point now where it'll really be able to mess us up if we give him the chance. Koga then, and after navigating the invisible walls of his gym, we prepare to throw down with the Ninja Master. He begins with coughing number 1, and we go for a Swords Dance while then getting hit with a Sludge Attack. We have the leftovers now though, and we take coughing out with our new move, Return. Muck is second, and we strike Return and immediately one-shot. Always nice to see that. Coughing number 2 is a one-shot with Return before Wheezing is last, and it survives Return before countering with Smokescreen. Koga heals, but I have the tool for the job, and we strike 2 Aerial Aces to bring Wheezing down. 5 badges in hand. Travelling through Sylph then, let's talk about what's ongoing with the channel. I mean, I don't feel like I've been doing much stuff outside of challenges of late. I was playing 007 Nightfire, but I seem to have stopped 2 missions before the end, which, not a great place to stop. I'll get back to it at some point, I'm sure. It's not like I've got a history of starting stuff and not finishing it. Oh, wait. I mean, I've not opened any cards for a while, but I do have a huge backlog of videos of me opening TCG products, but I've well and truly lost track of what's chronological with that, so there might be some stuff out there that contradicts the stuff in other videos. I don't know. I had still been uploading my no commentary playthrough of From Russia with Love, and I think there's still a few episodes left of that. Just trying to think about what challenges upcoming. Oh yeah, I've got a Crystal challenge penciled in for the next one. Pokemon Crystal with a single Snubbull. I've been looking to do that one for a very long time. I think when I first started doing this long ago, it might have been one of the first that I wrote down, and it only took me the best part 5 years to get here. As always, any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord or Instagram, I guess. I've been moderately getting into that. We have the rival fight upcoming, and I'm expecting this to be rough. I could be wrong, I mean I hope I'm wrong, but this is traditionally when he gets quite dangerous, and yet this happens. He begins with Pidgeot, we Swords Dance and get hit with Wing Attack. At least it wasn't Sand Attack. We then strike it out with Return. Venusaur is second. We strike an Aerial Ace, we crit the Aerial Ace and bring it down for the count. Gyarados is third, we get intimidated and go for another Swords Dance. We get hit with Bite and take it out with Return. Growlithe, out fourth, is a one-shot with Surf before Alakazam is last. It is faster and outspeeds, but only goes for Calm Mind, and we duly one-shot with Return. Alakazam's speed could be quite worrying going forward. I have to face Giovanni pretty much immediately after, and I'm ready to go. He definitely shouldn't be too bad, but I'm sure we'll get hit. He begins with Nidorino, and we go for a Swords Dance before being hit with Poison Sting. We take Nidorino out with Surf. I don't want to touch it because of Poison Point. I don't have that luxury with Nidoqueen as we one-shot with Return. Kangaskhan is a one-shot with return, and last of all is Rhyhorn, and we one-shot with Surf. The fight with Sabrina is next. I do this while I'm in town. We lose the first effort after being outsped and one-shot by Alakazam. I thought it was a crit for one moment until I realised it couldn't be a crit thanks to our ability. The next effort goes better though. So, she begins with Kadabra, we one-shot with Aerial Ace. Mr. Mime survives Aerial Ace and goes for Barrier. Sabrina heals, we go for return, and Mr. Mime survives. She uses another Hyper Potion before we take Mime out with Aerial Ace and return. Venomoth goes down to a crit Surf, for some reason I thought Reflect was up. Alakazam outspeeds, but it only goes for Calm Mind before we one-shot with return. Whew. Anyway, travelling now. I'm not expecting the next two gyms to be particularly rough, but maybe the rival fight after the last gym does turn out to be hard. I mean, we go on about the self-rival fight a lot. That post-Gym 8 one can usually just be as nasty. We'll have to see. Also, I might as well do this now. I did do a search on YouTube to see if anyone else did this challenge. I did find one instance of someone, a YouTuber named Brickaboom, doing this challenge in Fire Red. I also did a search for Leaf Green. Couldn't find one. I mean, I do consider partner games as one entity in the scheme of things. So, if someone has beaten Fire Red, I'm assuming that it is the same as beating Leaf Green. Crazy, but there you are. I mean, I know some later games do have version differences, like Sword and Shield having different gym leaders, or the Alola games having different battles/trials, but it doesn't really apply here. I mean, if there's a third version of the game, I do consider that a different version of the game, like I do consider Emerald drastically different to Ruby and Sapphire. I do consider Platinum drastically different to Diamond and Pearl, and same with Yellow, I guess. I mean, I'd say Yellow is a lot closer to Red and Blue than Emerald or Platinum are to their base games. I suppose you could say the same about Crystal. I mean, Crystal's sort of that middle ground between Yellow and Emerald/Platinum, because there's bits in Crystal that are not in Gold and Silver. I'm rambling. Anyway, Blaine. Fire-type Master versus overleveled Water-type. Let's see how this plays out, because I got a pretty good feeling, if I'm honest. He begins with Growlithe, and we are intimidated straight off the bat. We go for 2 Swords Dancers though, and get hit with 2 Fire Blasts. Pretty meagre damage, I'm not going to lie, but I am glad they don't burn. We then one-shot Growlithe with return. Ponyta is second, we one-shot with return, before it is time to face Rapidash. We one-shot with return, and then it's time for the Arcanine. We are intimidated, but another return one-shots it, and we are done. 7 badges in hand. Time to go and face Giovanni then, and I think we will win, but again, there's a chance we take damage. He begins with Rhyhorn, and we immediately one-shot with Surf. Dugtrio is second, and it is faster, hitting us with Earthquake while we Swords Dance, but it doesn't do much damage. I told you we'd get hit. We get hit with another Earthquake, but down it with return. Nidoqueen is a one-shot with return, but we get poisoned through Poison Point. Nidoking is also a one-shot with return, and right at the end, we one-shot the second Rhyhorn with Surf. No problem. Here we go then. I wondered how long it would be before we get walled. I figured it would happen sooner or later. We go on to fight the rival, and it turns out that at level 67 we have a huge problem. So this time we are slower than Pidgeot. We go for a Swords Dance and take it out with return, but we do get hit with 2 wing attacks in the process. Okay, this isn't fatal, but what does turn out to be fatal is the fact that we are slower than Venusaur, and we immediately get taken out by Razor Leaf. I try this a few times just to see if there is a speed tie or if Razor Leaf misses, but that's a no on both counts. So, I guess we're returning to the drawing board for the time being. After about half a dozen tries, I retreat to train. Like I said, I knew this would happen sooner or later. I head to the Sevi Isles to do some training, fighting my way through the local ne'er-do-wells. Well, I say local, they're not quite local, these bikers are from Kanto, but that doesn't really matter. I mean, I figure I've got to train until one of 2 things happen. Either we can survive a Razor Leaf from Venusaur, or we can outspeed Venusaur. If one of these 2 things happens, we are probably laughing. I mean, I think we'll one-shot if we connect with Swords Dance boosted Aerial Ace, but we've got to hit it first. And on the subject of saying I knew I'd need to level at some point, this is why I'm not particularly ashamed about leveling constantly throughout the game, because I figure it's going to save me time later. That is my take on it. Plus, you know, in places like Sylph or the SS Anne, once you finish that area, once you beat the rival, once you get Hut, once you knock out Giovanni, even in the gyms, once you beat the gym leader, you can't go back and fight the gym trainers. Those battles are lost, and it's a lot better grinding on trainer Pokemon than it is on wild Pokemon. Trust me on this. I make some more tries at level 70, and although we do take less damage from Pidgeot, Venusaur can simply come in and end us pretty quickly with Razor Leaf, which is definitely not good. I mean, I hope those few extra levels would do us some good, but we are still slower, and I have to wonder what the tipping point is. I've done plenty of Fire Red runs where this happens, where the rival starts to become too much for us. Yeah, and I've won them all so far, even with Pokemon like Makahita and Cleffa. Hands down, the two worst Fire Red runs I've ever done. Oh, mind you, actually, I don't know, Numel wasn't pleasant. Also, Fire Red with just bug-type moves, that was also incredibly unpleasant. Just saying. I mean, I'm looking back at my list, I have done, by my counts, this is my 20-second challenge in Pokemon Fire Red, and the Pikachu one wasn't pleasant either, the Electrite one wasn't either, but with the benefit of hindsight, that was probably largely due to facing off with awkward ground types at the end. I think the rival's Rhydon was horrific in that sort of instance from what I recall. I return at level 73 and make another try. We tank an attack and get the Swords Dance going. That attack, Aerial Ace, does not do a lot, but the amazing news is that we are operating at a speed tie with Pidgeot and outspeed the second turn to take it down. If we are speed tying with Pidgeot, we should outspeed Venusaur, and we do. We one-shot with our own Aerial Ace. It was a crit, wasn't sure that was needed there, but welcome. Rhyhorn is a one-shot with Surf. We Swords Dance again versus Gyarados. We have a dance-off as it goes to Rain Dance, but we one-shot with Return. Growlithe also intimidates us. We one-shot with Surf though. Alakazam outspeeds but misses Disable, and we one-shot with Return. Easy then in the end. Just a thought about my comment from before. I was curious about the speed difference between Venusaur and Pidgeot. In Gens 1 to 5, Pidgeot has a base speed of 91. It got an extra 10 points in Gen 6. Okay, but 91 is slower than I expected. Venusaur is only 10 points lower. I feel like Pidgeot should be way faster than Venusaur. Mind you, base speeds are deceptive. Remember, Pure Ugly is faster than Latios and Latias, who, according to the Pokédex, can fly as fast as a jet engine. That sounds right, I think. Anyway, I digress. I'm going through Victory Road, and I've got to think about what's ahead. So, for the Elite Four, I don't think Lorelei will be too bad. Maybe Jinx will be rough if she outspeeds and hits us with a potent special move, but that'll probably be about the worst I've got to worry about. We resist ice, so maybe we'll be fine. Bruno shouldn't be too bad. Maybe we have to worry about getting outsped by the Hitmons, especially since Hitmonchan has Rock too. But maybe it'll be fine. I think we are going to get outsped by at least some of Agatha's team, especially the Gengar. We'll have to rely on Surf and Aerial Ace for her ghost types a good chunk of that battle. Lance, well, we don't have ice moves, but being able to power up with Swords Dance maybe could do us some favours, especially since, traditionally, he opens with something that intimidates. Now, having Swords Dance to get around that, very handy. This could go either way, I guess. The rival fight at the champion battle, well, we saw what happened in the last battle with him. We'll have to see, I guess. Okay, so, as I stand in the Indigo Plateau, here are our stats at level 75. They're not bad, you know. Attack is good compared to everything else. That special defense is worryingly low, though. I mean, this is with a special defense boosting nature as well, which I would consider slightly worrying. I still think we're going to get outsped by at least something, and we better hope that it's not a special attacker. That might make Lance harder. Anyway, take your guesses on if we can do it at this level or not. Right now, folks, let's get this on. Ice-type trainer Lorelei is up first, and I am actually reasonably confident, so let's see how this goes. She begins with Dugong, and I'm expecting Hail at the start, so I go for Swords Dance. I do go for 2 of them actually, but we get hit with 2 ice beams from Dugong, which does decent damage. I'm glad we resist or we could be in trouble. We one-shot with return. Cloyster makes the cowardly move of going for protect, but on the second turn we one-shot it with return to take it out. Slowbro is third, we one-shot with return. Jinx is faster and lands lovely kiss. We do get hit with Ice Punch, but we do wake up early and one-shot with return before Lapras is last. We outspeed and one-shot with return. Okay, that was nice and smooth. Anytime we one-shot Lorelei's Lapras, we've done well. 1 down. Fighting Trainer Bruno is next, and this actually gave me more trouble than Lorelei did, believe it or not. Strange, right? He begins with Onyx number 1, and we go for a Swords Dance. It won't help versus Onyx, but we also get hit with Rock 2, which makes us even slower. Onyx lands Earthquake, but we end it with Surf. Hitmonchan hits Sky Uppercut, but we one-shot it with Aerial Ace. Hitmonlee lands Brick Break, but we also one-shot with Aerial Ace. Machamp is 4th, it misses Cross Chop before we one-shot with Aerial Ace, and that would have been fatal. Onyx outspeeds and hits Earthquake, but we survive and drop it with Surf. That was actually pretty close, but we made it. Ghost Trainer Agatha is up 3rd, and I know we're going to get outsped here by probably everything on her team. She begins with Gengar number 1 and immediately lands Shadow Punch while we go for Swords Dance. On the next turn, she goes for Double Team, but we strike Aerial Ace to put it on red health. I thought that would be a knockout. She heals and we go for another Swords Dance. Gengar double teams again, but this time Aerial Ace ends it. Golbat outspeeds and hits Confuse Ray. That's really bad, but we fight through and one-shot with return. Arbok comes out and intimidates us. We fight through Confusion again and one-shot with return. Gengar number 2 comes out and lands Sludge Bomb before finally we hit ourselves in Confusion, and thanks to our attack boost it hurts pretty bad. We are poisoned by another Sludge Bomb but survive on red health and drop Gengar with Aerial Ace. Haunter is out last, it outspeeds but only goes for Curse and we take it out with Aerial Ace. Again, very close. Lance then, it's time to challenge him. Unfortunately, this is where things go bad, as it turns out we are slower than Gyarados and it is more than capable of hurting us with a repeated barrage of Dragon Rage attacks. We go for 2 Swords Dancers and then it turns out we can one-shot Gyarados, but the problem is that we are badly hurt. We are faster than both Dragonair number 1 and Dragonair number 2, but at the end Dragonite comes in and is both faster and too much for us to overcome, as it does end us with Outrage. I knew that low special defense would bite us sooner or later, and unfortunately I make a few tries but nothing really gives, so I retreat to go off and train. I figure I need to get more levels to either outspeed Gyarados or outspeed Dragonite. Outspeeding Gyarados would mean we get hit less and can still power up. I can't really power up on the Dragonair because we probably get paralysed by Thunder Wave, but if we can get to Dragonite with a good chunk of our health left, hopefully we could tank an Outrage, and I figure we might be able to one-shot without the need to outspeed. Either way, if we are too slow here, we're probably going to be too slow for the champion battle, and we saw what happened in our last match versus the rival. I think this is one of those runs though where we can do it before level 100. I think we might be able to do it under level 90 if I'm honest, depends on our speed. Anyway, I rock back up to face off with Lance at the new level of 81. He begins with Gyarados and we are immediately intimidated, but I know what I need to do. We start going for Swords Dance, getting 2 of them going while we get hit with 2 bites for decent damage, but it's not the end of the world. We do get hit with Dragon Rage at the end, but take it out with Return. Dragonair number 1 goes down to return, and very shortly afterwards so does Dragonair number 2. This time we are faster than Dragonite and we manage to get the one-shot with return. Aerodactyl is last. I'm absolutely not surprised at all when that outspeeds us. It lands Wing Attack before surviving Surf on a Sliver. Lance heals, but we go for another Surf, and this time we get a fortuitous damage roll and we can take it out. Just the champion battle then, and I make half a dozen efforts at level 81, but things don't go entirely our way for the usual array of reasons. Pidgeot has Sand Attack and isn't afraid to use it, so that automatically reduces our chances of victory. We lose at least one effort due to this, where we do go for Surf on Rhydon and miss because of it, and then we're taken out. There are efforts where we get taken out by Alakazam, and there are efforts where we get taken out by Arcanine. The former due to being slower, the latter due to being weak and extreme speeded to death. So I retreat and re-strategise. And by that I mean boost up our level to 85 and hope this gives us more of a chance. Anyway, he begins with Pidgeot. We go for 2 Swords Dancers, but unfortunately we get hit with 3 Sand Attacks, which I'd say is something that'll hurt us going into the rest of the fight. But that's what Aerial Ace is for, and we drop Pidgeot with it. Venusaur is a one-shot with Aerial Ace. We are slower, but it only charges up Solar Beam. Alakazam is faster and wipes out 2/3 of our health with Psychic before we take it out with Aerial Ace. Thankfully, we land Surf on Rhydon for a one-shot. We are faster than Gyarados and strike an Aerial Ace, but it survives on red health. We get tagged with Hydro Pump before the rival heals, and we go for another Swords Dance. We then one-shot with Aerial Ace, and Arcanine is last. It is faster and puts us on 10 HP with Flamethrower, but we one-shot with Aerial Ace, and that gives us the win. If we hadn't one-shot there, we'd have lost because we were slower anyway, but it would have probably gone for extreme speed. And with that, we can enter the Hall of Fame and draw a line under the run. Well, I enjoyed that. A few little difficulty spikes here and there just to keep us on our toes, but definitely not too bad. Definitely more pleasant than the previous one with Igglybuff. Anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, call out with a comment on, smash that subscribe button, help the channel grow. I seem to have stagnated a bit of late. Anyway, join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge as we head to Gen 2 Johto and see if I can beat that with just a single Snubbull. That could be interesting. I don't really have too much more to say, so I'm probably going to jump off here. Thanks for joining me, folks. Take care, have a great day, and see you next time. So long, farewell, good night, good night.